that Apple did something very similar before, and it didn't really work. And I think the difference is context, the difference is ubiquity, the difference is social media, or what we call social media. Really, the internet has always been social. We've always had this sort of social technology aspect to it, but adoption has made a huge difference there. The other thing is, the iPad is really an extension of the iPhone. It's the iPhone operating system in a larger format, right? So in a sense, it's not innovative yet. In a sense, it's repurposing some things, some patterns, and some ideas that already existed within Apple. On the other hand, we all know, we all suspect it's going to be a huge platform for innovation, especially given high adoption. Adoption is really helpful. And if you have high adoption right up front, you start to have profound innovation because people are driven to develop for the platform. So I didn't want to take a lot of time to talk about pros and cons because we're going to talk about those in breakout groups. I did find one interesting criticism of the iPad, and this is from Cory Doctorow. Everybody know who Cory Doctorow is? Okay, Cory is sort of a, well, he does a number of things, but he's been blogging at Boing Boing for years, and he's a very open source, open systems dedicated sort of cultural commentator when he blogs at Boing Boing. He used to be activist for the EFF, and he's always been pushing for open systems. Now, another thing for me to mention here, similar conversation that I had with Doug Rushkoff when he was in town for South by Southwest. Both of these guys are talking about how closed systems that are shut down, that are hard to take apart and fiddle with, and where you have little control yourself, don't appeal to them. They think that we should have more facility with our technologies to modify and play with them and sort of turn them into our own custom thing. And Cory criticizes the iPad because he thinks it's too locked down, it's too hard to mold it to your own particular context and thinking and personality. That may change as the iPad evolves. It is true that Apple tends to keep things locked down, and that's partly an economic thing for them. I also think it's related to their engineering philosophy, which is that the more locked down something is, the less liable it is to be broken by the user. And we all like to have our things work. Now on the love side, I looked for somebody who really seemed to love the iPad, and I found this quote from Farhad Manjoo at Slate, and he was just basically blown away by it, and he said he was prepared to dislike it. He wasn't at all sure it was going to be a cool thing, but once he sat down and started playing with it and found the real facility with browsing the web and using like email, photo album, home entertainment, there's a bunch of stuff it'll do. Now, one thing I know it doesn't do, this may be an issue for some people, is print very well. I mean, there is a way to print from the iPad, but it's not straightforward. And we were talking earlier about whether you can connect it to your digital television set. I know that this is my DVD player, this MacBook Pro. I connect it to my digital set, and it plays DVDs better than any DVD player I've seen, other than maybe a Blu-ray device, right? So the question is whether it's going to be really easy for you to step outside of the screen limitations of the iPad and play programming on other devices, that sort of thing. All of that stuff, though, is probably going to evolve. We're going to see a lot of changes with this thing. So now it's time for us to talk about having our breakout sessions, and we don't have a lot of time and a lot of time to kind of decide who's going to go where. So unless there's violent opposition to it, what we'd like to do is just assign areas to talk about these different topics. Is everybody cool with that? So we've got 7 topics to talk about, and Brian, you want to help me with this a little bit?
Sure.
So, okay, first topic. Why? Why is the iPad so compelling? Why are people excited about it? So where's our first set of tables, Brian? You want to help carve that out?
Sure. Let's